the river and party all summer!
You know that clip is never going away, right? And shaking his head here. That's two-time Stanley Cup champion Phil Bourque in 2017 at the Penguins' victory celebration in downtown Pittsburgh. His cheer continued a tradition. He started as a player on the 1991 and 92 Stanley Cup teams.
What do you say we take this out of the river and party all summer?
He certainly had his fun as a player, and now he's still part of the team as a color commentator alongside Mike Lang for Penguins radio broadcast. And he's sharing his memories in a new book, If These Walls Could Talk, stories from the Pittsburgh Penguins ice, locker room, and press box. And we are so happy to have Phil, also known as the old 2-9er, with us today. You're shaking your head at those clips.
Wouldn't you?
No,
What a jackass. What was I thinking? Take this down to the river. You know, a quick funny story.
How old were you in 91 and 92?
I was 29.
Yeah, of course you were taking it down to the river and
You're
partying
living the
all
dream.
night.
You're saying crazy stuff.
One or two celebratory cocktails the night before, so not really sure about myself. And Mike Lang actually gave me a little nudge. He said, "Hey, Bourque, give him something to remember you by." I had no idea what I was going to say. That just came out.
And he was right. A catchphrase would be played forever.
So did you take it down to the river and party all night?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. I took it.
That's
That was
amazing.
before security, keeper of the cup, the guy with the white gloves. They didn't have any of that, which was not a good idea for us.
Right.
I was just a young tyke then, but I
In your
remember
diapers?
having no. But I remember having a Penguin starter jacket.
Oh, yeah.
91, 92.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just trying to fit in.
That's what the
be
cool
cool
kids had.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
When you're, you know, we grew up with hockey. That's why we played. Like we saw you guys winning, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna go on the street and start shooting a
'Cause we're gonna
ball,
be
or a tennis
Phil.
ball around.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your book. What led you to this path to write a book about what happened, the stories that people don't know?
Well, it's part of a series. There have been other athletes from different sports, whether it's hockey or football, baseball, and they came to me. I didn't really want to write a book, but I've had a lot of people say, "That's a great story. You should write a book." And so I started thinking about my life and the turns I've had in my life. And I guess to write a book, you have to either be really smart or you have to have one of those lives where you've had extreme highs and lows. And I'm kind of the latter. And you know, it was very actually cleansing for me. You know, it would take a lot that I had internally. I never really told the full story. Was able to put it all in print.
Okay, so what did you do? What kind of writer were you? Were you pen and paper? Did you sit at your computer and
I did not write. Josh Yohe,
Yeah.
who writes for The Athletic, was the writer, and he did an amazing job. We spent countless hours of me just telling stories, and he was able to take my stories and put them to paper. So for me to actually sit down and write, I would have liked to have done that, but I don't know if I would have had the time or patience to do it.
Yeah, but you're telling some great stories. So what are some things in this book that people would find surprising that they may not know about you?
Probably the number one thing is my relationship with my dad. It was tumultuous. It was, for choice of better words, violent. My dad living vicariously through me. He was an athlete, went to Boston College, played football and baseball, but never went anywhere after that. And since I was 5 years old, I took to hockey like a duck to water. I was just good at it. I don't know why, because I never saw my dad in a pair of hockey skates. But what turned into a dad pushing a kid hard turned very, very bad, where it became first verbally abusive and then became physically abusive. And I've never really told that stories to anybody before. And so again, that part was cleansing to me. But also in the back of my mind, I was thinking, boy, if this could help one parent that maybe is that dad that pushes their kids so hard to the point
Where it's aggressive and violent and
right. And but also the behind the scenes stuff, the fun stuff of winning the Stanley Cups, playing with Mario Lemieux, and then also probably what a lot of people didn't know about me is I really struggled going from a player to a second career. And I went 3 years without working. And I talk about that in the book, and not really sure what I wanted to do. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do, but there wasn't a job for me to be a broadcaster. And so I went through some hardship, not only financially, but just confidence-wise on what I was going to do after a playing career.
Taking that next step.
Yeah.
There's a lovely forward in here from Mike Lang.
Oh, that's great.
What is that like to read something like that about you, to talk about your passion for life and for hockey?
Well, if you ever talk to a broadcast team, they have a certain chemistry in what they do on the air. What Mike Lang and I have is different, I think, than any other. We're like family. He's like a father, he's like an uncle, he's like a brother to me, and I love the guy to death. We have formed such a bond that it's to read what he wrote there. I've read it 5 or 6 times, Heather, and every time I read it, I get a little bit choked up just because I know Mikey's not going to be around forever. And I know how he feels about me and how I feel about him. Our common passion is the Pittsburgh Penguins and broadcasting the games, but it goes multiple layers deeper than that.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to be excited to read your book. And you came over, Aaron, and introduced yourself to Phil, but you said, I actually met you before.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
I think I was scored on by him in the middle of the night one time at a rink.
I went
So
top
fun.
shelf on you.
Yeah, maybe.
Far down.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's so
Yeah,
fun.
even at that age, still can't see his hands. I mean, it was good. It
You
was.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed getting beat on by
I
penguins.
didn't hit you in the head.
No.
Because I didn't know where it was going.
Yeah, I know.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, I think a lot of people are going to be excited.
Yeah, it's
to read
exciting.
this. Yeah.
Thanks, Sam.
Again, the book is called If These Walls Could Talk, Stories from the Pittsburgh Penguins Ice, Locker Room, and Press Box by Phil Bourque and Josh Yohe. You can meet Phil and Josh at a book signing coming up at the South Hills Barnes & Noble on Friday night, November 1st, starting at 7 o'clock. These days, scammers are so clever. They're always coming up with new ways to cheat you out of your money. Up next, what you need to know to avoid their trap in our new AARP Fraud Watch series. And stay with us for some thrills and chills from Kennywood's Phantom Fright Nights. Selena Pompiani bravely reports live there for us just ahead on our new features added this year.